because I know we're pretty much approaching time, and my stuff is actually downstairs, so I gotta go get. But I think one of the best ones I think that would be useful for people because we touched on this like years ago, but I figured it'll come up in these questions is how do you actually pull candidates in ATS? Are there defined tiers like strong match versus good match? And in practice, do recruiters usually prioritize the strong match tier even if someone in the lower tier may be equally qualified? I really don't know how to answer the second part of that because it says,
Yeah, that's not equal.
yeah, like how would you be in the lower tier but you're equally qualified? I don't know.
Yeah, if the way I interpret that question is like if I have a strong match and then someone isn't a strong match, do I consider them to be equal? Like no, like if they wasn't a strong match. But I get the premise of the entire question. So again, I always go back to value, right? And so I think it's important to understand one, what's your individual value as it stands in today's market, and then you can also drill down into like what do you feel like the value of that skill set is at the company that you're applying to, right? So, just a short sort of a short way to kind of explain what I mean is you could be, let's say you're an accountant. You could be an accountant applying to a company that has a team of 50 accountants because they have that much revenue and that much work to do. Or you could be applying to a company where you will be the accountant, sort of responsible for setting up the entire accounting function. So those two individuals, like you might be a strong match for that 50 accountant company, but you may be a weak match for the one that's like, no, like you're going to be responsible for, all of our accounting functions at the entire organization. And so it's kind of hard to answer that person's question because like my strong fit is going to be based on the individual needs for this particular role. So your strong fit for me might be, meets, just a
Minimum
good fit,
qualifications.
right? At another application. So you can't compare every application sort of apples to apples because you have to understand like what it is that they're actually looking for. But I mean, the best way to go through an applicant tracking system, like if I'm usually not going to look at no more than like 50 at a time in a session because after that, like your eyes start to cross, everything kind of starts to look the same. And so usually recruiters are going to try to keep it like under that 50 flipping through to kind of see who's a good match. But a lot of applicant tracking systems now do have AI built into them. Because I remember, I think the last time I talked to you, I was like, "There's no such thing as beating the system. That's wrong now. Like you do have to kind of be a lot more strategic because now I can go in there and either ask AI to filter by certain keywords or certain experience, or the newer ones. If you paying for all the bells and whistles, I can come in, log on, and it tells me, hey, here's the top 10 applicants, that came in. I can put in filters, right? Like show me the best fits that have applied within, the last 3 days. And it may give me 25. And so like, I'm only going to look at those 25. And so that's how, recruiting has changed just from like a technology standpoint to whereas I used to have to flip through everyone. Whereas now like I can start by filtering out the people that I feel like aren't a good fit. And I can only focus on the people that are at least matching those buzzwords on their resume. And from there, I start to understand, who's made more impact, who has been able to clearly sort of articulate on their resume how they're a strong fit versus the people who, as we mentioned earlier, kind of submitted a resume that's just based off of a job description. It was just kind of telling me what their scope is and kind of what they do at a high level versus telling me what they've done to actually drive some sort of impact.
No, that's facts. I think, and one good conversation that I want to have on live one day because eventually, outside of this, I'm gonna like go like back to like some type of panel style where it's just be like a free fall, whatever, with different topics. Is a friend of mine. We were talking about how years of experience really should not be the barometer anymore, because some people at one time, those years of experience they had, they were competent, but you may find a guy. Maybe this is kind of what that person's talking about. You may find a person, they don't have the 5 years, but they got 2. But if you was to put them head to head with this person, let them compete or figure whatever out, the 2-year experienced person would be better. And so I think a lot of people are getting discounted now because they just don't meet the maximum or with minimum qualifications, but they may be a better fit because they still are in that stage where they are hungry and getting better. Whereas a lot of people I know from like when I started working with them now, like, yeah, your better days probably past and you kind of just existing now. So yeah, you might have been doing it for 20 years, but your experience right now is showing about 3 to 4.
No, that's actually a great point, and I agree. I'm aligned. I think that's a hard sell, just because we do sort of. I think just on a very simple level of the way people think, right? Like if someone just got their license and someone been driving for 10 years, who you gonna think is a better driver?
The one that's been driving longer.
Right. And I think that's just the way, even now, especially, let's just call them companies. That's the way companies think, right? Like if we're looking for like, I'm working on some roles now, and the leader is just sold on the fact like, yeah, this person needs to have at least 10 to 15 years of experience in order to qualify. If I find someone, let's say someone has 7, those 7 are very strong, like I'm going to have to take the extra step, right? Like I'm going to have to talk to that person and really drill in on what they've done and be able to, finesse it in a way to be like, hey, like I know this person is potentially 8 years shy of what you were looking for, but
they've done everything is on
right. They came in the game strong, right? Like they work for top companies. They may have, a specialty degree or something like that. So I'm going to have to like really, put a lot of icing on that cake in order for them to even start to think that this person meets the qualifications. And so it's tough. My advice to someone like that is like, I hate to say it, but you have to find the company that is going to be a little bit more open-minded, right? Like I think candidates, job seekers, people in general spend too much time trying to force their way into situations that don't want them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just sort of like you can't sit there and try to make that case for like, yeah, like I know I only have 7 years of experience and the job description says 10 to 15. Like you might just need to keep looking, right? Submit your resume, but like don't
harp
try
on
to,
it.
right? Like don't try to beat that drum so hard to be like, I know I can do it. I know, like you might not even get looked at, right? Whereas it's another company out there that they may not have a years of experience, right? Like, and there are especially startups. Sometimes startups will create a job description that say, we don't care what kind of education you got. We don't care how many years you've been doing this. Like we're looking for the right person. Like we're looking for somebody who can come in and solve these big problems. And so that's the job for you. Like that's how you actually build your career, by finding those companies that are, well aligned with what it is that you feel like, you embody, that you feel like you can punch above your weight, versus going to these traditional companies that just have it very clearly laid out. Hey, this is what qualification means to us, right? Yeah. Like you go do something else and then circle back if you want to go to the company.
I think it's that. I think the frustration sometimes is like I've had times where like I knew like I pretty much was a strong match, but the person might have had just recent leadership experience or whatever. But sometimes they probably wasn't even leading good or leading at a good team. Like sometimes I think a lot of companies don't take enough chances on probably like somebody that may not be the desired fit, and I think they mess up like that because in the past day I had like two or three companies that's reached out that started hiring processes that I talked to them like last year. I'm like, oh, y'all messed up and y'all didn't know who y'all hired. Well, one instance I was working with a recruiter that was like a firm, and the client, they were dragging their feet on it and they ended up putting the role on hold and then got, I guess, an internal referral. I'm like, y'all already knew y'all didn't have the talent internally, or y'all would have never hired these people to look for y'all. Why did you even waste people's time like that, to the point that they actually are looking again for that same role? And then the same thing happened for this other role. I'm just like, are y'all just putting stuff on hold? Y'all run out of budget? I'm like, what are y'all doing? Because the other red flag to me is years ago, Ernst & Young's had the same role over and over again open. Like I interviewed for it back in like 2019 or something like that. And I didn't get it. But I would always see the roles keep on being posted. I'm like, yeah, that's a revolving door and they don't know what they want.
What was it a role that's because sometimes we have positions that we'll post like an evergreen position. And so essentially it's something that we know we're always going to be looking for. And so it's just a matter of like really just building a pipeline of people so that, you know, if we get resignations or if we need to like terminate someone, like we don't have to start from scratch
Yeah,
with that search.
I don't think it was. I think at that time, I think their program wasn't that good.
I mean, that very well could be. I mean, it's a lot to
Because a
go.
lot of companies, they go off the allure of their namesake versus trying to get actually like make stuff right. So it's like, no, they pretty decent. They should have been more far along. But like at the time when I got like Goldman Sachs, like they, you know that people want to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they were still behind on some stuff that they should already had done. But I mean, all in all, it's not like they had no major breaches or anything like that. There are other companies that did that shouldn't have. It's like you make all this money, pay a little bit more, so you ain't got to shell out this, $100 billion or whatever you did for this breach. Like Change Healthcare had to do, I think, that billion or something that they lost with the breach. But it's almost like y'all just know that y'all got a monopoly and legacy, and people know you've been here for so long. That's why y'all can operate this way.
Yeah, I mean it's that's probably gonna even now, like I don't know, like I haven't looked at them in a while, but so stuff like that only lasts for so long, right? Mm-hmm. Just like when I told you I started working at Lyft, recruiting was, like I said, it wasn't a breeze, but we didn't have to work hard. Like it was kind of like, of course, like all we got to do is post and find the sharpest needle in a stack of needles. And so post COVID, when nobody wanted to take ride share and all that kind of stuff, like it got a lot harder, right? Yeah. People was like, why would I go to Lyft? Like y'all lost 75% of y'all business or whatever. And so recruiting got a lot tougher. Like we had to really convince people of what was our recovery plan and why are we hiring when things are on a downturn or whatever the case may be. And so no one, in my experience, no one has really figured out hiring yet. And like I say, it goes back to people are so fickle that it's just
should it be more assessment based maybe?
You would think so, but you got to think about how many weirdos can complete can do well on the assessment, right? Like I literally had a situation about a couple of months ago where it was a graphic designer, and this dude his work was sharp. Like the team loved what he could do, but he was going to be an issue, and I knew he was going to be an issue by the way we communicated, just in trying to set up the interviews and stuff like that. Like he was just like a lot. And that's what it comes down to, whereas like sometimes people don't understand. Someone can believe that you can do a good job and still not hire you because it's like I don't want to put up with that. Like it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And did he check off like did they have like mental problems maybe?
I don't think he had mental. I mean, it was just one of those things where, and I know recruiters have a very unique perspective because we do talk to so many people. Just think about the people that you've worked with that come across like a little weird, right? Like they made it through despite of. So if we end up like not hiring someone because of behavior, and it's not always weird. Like sometimes it's, like I said, an asshole. Like sometimes it's just kind of, the person just doesn't seem to be coming across as very truthful. Like it's just like the more you do this job, the more you can pick up on little things like, like let me double down on this real quick because I'm getting, it's almost like your spidey sense start tingling a little bit. Like I don't like the way this is operating, and then like sometimes that person gets through for whatever reason, whether they were able to convince the right person that they're gonna be a good fit, and then I'm usually never surprised when I either hear from HR or and I'm not talking about officially. Like sometimes it's just because I know the HR people, and we may just be chit chatting or gossiping, and they be like, "Yeah, so and so, this going on," or working on this investigation, and they were like, I can't tell you who it is or something like that. And I'm like, I already know. It's just like, I know. Like, it's just, I'm not surprised. And then I remember at one point I worked in an office where literally I had sort of eyesight of like the glass room that they took people in when they laid them off. I was like, every time somebody go in there, I'm like,
Remind me of Insecure.